Alright, so we are going to be talking about the mastery points I like to use for all my commanders. There's been a lot of changes since the 3.7 update maybe not necessarily a lot of changes, but there's been some things that have moved around points a little bit. So I'm going to go over those, and let's start with Raynor. So you don't really need too much more of a stimpack duration. Because units have a lot of health, and if you have enough medics, it doesn't matter too much. But I do like doing a little bit to my stimpack duration, and then the rest of it to increases the drop pod speed units. I usually focus more on the Hyperion cooldown, although there are certain mutations and things like that where it makes more sense to do the Banshee airstrike. Because with this, they're basically out almost the entire time, and there's like 60 seconds between when they go away and come back that you don't have them. So this is actually a really cool upgrade. But since I like to use the Hyperion a little bit more, I always use the Hyperion cooldown. I usually go for just straight additional targets because I feel like it just gets more healing done, and with your upgrades it doesn't actually reduce too much. So this is what I like to do. Moving on to Kerrigan. I go straight attack damage. I used to do energy regeneration, but this is a way more universally helpful one, because you can actually deal with air units a lot more than with this. This just helps you take out ground units, but this makes it so you can take out Mutalisk and all these other types of air units and actually do some damage to them. I usually go for the Vespian gas cost reduction as opposed to the assimilation aura. You end up needing more and more gas, and I usually find that if you use the assimilation aura at the right time, you can still kill everything at the same amount of time, and this actually means more. And lower spawn rate is the one I use more often, but every once in a while for mutations I will use the Kerrigan cocoon birth time. So I kind of go back and forth between mutations and stuff like that, but it's mostly going to be lower spawn rate. For Artanis, I'm going to go ahead and use mostly the Guardian Shell, Life and Restoration. The main reason I use this over this is this can give you more damage reduction, but this is Artanis' main heal, because when the Guardian Shell comes back, it will give you 30% life to the unit, which means a lot more to me than this, because any units, you don't have a whole bunch of army that's in red, you have an army that is in at least yellow for most of the time after they lose all their health. I usually go for mostly cooldown here, but I do like adding a little bit of speed because it does help to get like your zealots that you're spawning to enemy units just a little bit faster, but I will do mostly on the warp charge cooldown. And last but not least, I do the Chrono Boost efficiency. There is absolutely no reason to get this. You don't use the Spear of Adun enough to actually make that difference, so I always go for the Chrono Boost efficiency. The next commander will be Swann. This can have a lot of uses, but I find I can use the combat drop duration and life a lot more. I still do this to make the beam a little bit wider and deal a little bit more damage, to take out a couple more units and make it just again wider. But mostly I like to do the combat life and duration. I never use the Immortality Protocol. It does have a lot of uses, but I don't really make Thors and tanks as much, so I don't find that this has as much use. So I always go straight structure health, even though sometimes it doesn't make any difference on a map. And I normally would never do the laser drill production time or build time, but they added the upgrade time to this, so I've taken a lot off of Vespian drone cost and added a lot to the laser drill production time and upgrade time to get out upgrades that much faster. Alright, last but not least for this video, I'll do the other 5 in another one just so this isn't too long. We have Zagara attack damage over at life and energy regeneration. It's kind of the same deal with Kerrigan. There are a couple times where I felt like I could have used this a little bit more, but in general with the splash damage you do a lot of damage as Zagara with this over this, because you usually have enough to get all of your abilities out between attack waves. All Baneling attack damage. This is really just a a feint move and to deal with random things that come from the sides that I'm not ready for. It's all about bailing attack damage and just doing that much more. And there are times, again, where you're going to want the Zagara Cocoon birth time, but you're going to find that Lava Spawn Rate is far more useful than this because you can get away with a little less hatcheries if you want. And if you look, it really doesn't increase the cooldown by that much. So, and it's just kind of a one-time thing unless she dies, but I still find that Lava Spawn Rate is a little bit better for me. Anyways, that's Raynor, Kerrigan, Artanis, Swann, and Zagara. I'm going to make another video for the other one. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope that was helpful.